They took the children, right? And I'm going to go into the importance of the children, but I'm going to just deal with Daniel right here and why Daniel did certain things. They took the children, and he was looking for specific children, the top, the best, the smartest children. Keep going.
Children in whom was no blemish, but well favored.
They were handsome, beautiful. They had no blemish. They're well favored. They know how to take care of themselves. Keep going.
And skillful in all wisdom.
And what?
And skillful in all wisdom.
So they were smart in all wisdom. Let's see what type of wisdom. Keep going.
And cunning in knowledge.
And what?
And cunning in knowledge.
And cunning in knowledge. Keep going.
And understanding science.
And understanding what?
And understanding science.
Now he understood science. I'm going to show you why. Because he kept the commandments of God. Here's one reason why he understood science. Keep going.
And such as had ability in them to stand in the king's palace, in whom they might teach the learning and the tongue of the Chaldeans.
So he wanted to teach them their tongue and their learning, right? Keep going.
And the king appointed them a daily provision of the king's meats.
But he was like the king appointed him the daily provision of the king's meat, right? So Daniel is a man of science, wisdom, learning. Go to verse 8. Now, he didn't just, not based on, oh, the Most High only alone, I'm just going to do this. It was something wrong with what they were feeding him. He knew in his mind the knowledge, something's not right about this, right? Keep going.
Verse 8. But Daniel proposed in his heart that he will not defile himself with the portion of the king's meat.
He will not what?
Defile himself with the portion of the king's meat.
So he knew something's not right with this. When I was younger, my fathers, my mothers taught me this meat that I was eating when I grew up was good, and this meat that I was eating here, something's not right with it. So what is he going to do? Keep going.
Nor with the wine which he drank. Therefore he requested of the prince of the eunuchs that he might not defile himself. Now God had brought Daniel into favor and tender love with the prince of the eunuchs. And the prince of the eunuchs said unto Daniel, I fear my lord the king, who hath appointed your meat and your drink. For why should he see your faces worse likened than the children which are of your sort?
So he said, look, I fear the king Nebuchadnezzar. I don't hate him. I'm not against what he's doing, but the meat he's giving us is not only against my God, but is making the physical, is physically disparaging or degrading the men that's in your palace.
Right.
He didn't know that because a spooky spirit came down and wrote it in the Bible. He knew that because he studied science. Right? What do our people eat to this day? We eat what? What? Pork. Why? Pork, crab, shrimp, lobster. Why? Why? Who gave us that? You don't. Why? Because you know it's bad. You know it's bad. And he knew that too. Keep going.
Then shall he make me endanger my head to the king.
He said what?
Then shall he make me endanger my head to the king.
So, guess what? The eunuch, the prince of the eunuch was being dogmatic. I don't care if it's making us sick. That's what my king told me to do. We're not being dogmatic. We're going by science and facts. Right? Daniel is showing you the science that he kept. He made a whole control group. The control group is Nebuchadnezzar meats and the meats under the Levitical law. Which one is going to make us healthier? Will you be more healthier with your king's meats, or will I be more healthier with my people's meats? Or what's lawful to eat under my people's law? Right? Keep going.
Verse 11. Then said Daniel to Melzar, whom the prince of the eunuchs has set over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, prove thy servants, I beseech thee, 10 days, and let them give us pulse to eat.
And so he set a time frame for the control group. The control group is who? Him, his brothers, and the other eunuchs. And guess what? What are they comparing? They're comparing and contrasting what the king eats and what he eats, according to the Lord. Right? Keep going.
Give us pulse to eat and water to drink.
He said, give us pulse to eat and water to drink. Shalom. So pulse is grain. Keep going.
Verse 13. Then let our countenances
What
be
are we talking about?
then let our countenances be looked upon before thee, that the countenance of the children that eat of the portion of the king's meat.
So they're looking at each other like, look, I'm looking at the countenance of my people, and I'm looking at the countenance of Daniel's people, and something's not right. He knows something. Why did they look better than mine? Right? Keep going.
And as thou seest, deal with thy servants.
He said, what?
And as thou seest, deal with thy servants.
So he says, you see, you deal with your servant. But me and my brothers, we're going to eat the meats of the Lord. Doing what? They knew science. Keep going.
Verse 14. So he consented to them in this manner and proved them 10 days.
So he said, okay, I'm going to deal with you, little. Some people will call it a what I want to say, a challenge, but it was really a study. It was a control group dealing with science. Keep going.
So y'all deal with
Go ahead.
See, he lost me, and now Yunya lost him.
Keep going.
Verse 15. And at the end of 10 days, their countenances appear fairer and fatter in flesh than all the children which did eat the portion of the king's meat.
So Daniel's children, Daniel and his brothers look more handsome, fatter, and more comely, which is beautiful and healthy, than the other men because they were eating the meats. I'm gonna show you something. When you go into the Bible, in the beginning,
We're gonna talk science, man.
I'm talking science with you.
So that's science.
I'm talking
We can
science.
agree. We can agree. This book is allegory for greater science.
Yes, for greater science, King.
We can agree.
Now, I'm asking you something, right? I'm gonna give you an example. What is being pushed in America right now because of lack of health and malnutrition?
I really don't know, bro. I'm not,
Veganism.
Okay.
Veganism, why?
As an antidote.
As antidote to what?
Some other shit. More marketing. Obesity.
No, because a lot of the meats in America is bad for us. They're not kept like we kept them in the Levitical law or according to the Bible. In fact, in the beginning, before Adam was clothed in flesh, did Adam even eat meat? No, so guess what they're trying to do? You use the herbs and you use the fruit to do what? Cleanse and clean your body. That's dealing with science. That's according to the Bible and law. That's not being spooky. And if you do eat meats, it's meats that what? Other animals do what? They grain. They eat herbs. They eat off the ground.
So they
So
can I
guess.
ask you a question?
Go ahead.
So do you know what an aura is? Aura field. That's the spooky shit that people talk about, right?
You mean a magnetic field around your
Come on,
body?
let's talk about it. That's what I'm trying to get to. There's a 3-layer field around you. Some people can see it. Some machines can see it. It consists of 3 fields, right? A microbiome, your bacteria, microbial cloud, photons, which emit, that's light, right? And then we have the electromagnetic radiation of what? Of what? Electromagnetic radiation of what? Inside of the grand man. The organs, because they pulsate. From what? Why do they pulsate? Is it from a book that they pulsate? It's through what?
You told me. I'm listening. I'm enjoying this.
It's through, it's through an unseen force, right? Like these words, like the thought form that we've created in this now. It's an unseen force that we're in, right? It's a cosmic law. It's observable laws.
It's a chemical compound.
Right, which is
right.
wait, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
A chemical compound that was observed and then was written down because it was observed, because truth is what? Known by the opposite of the presence of opposites. Our ancestors always knew that truth was defined by the presence of opposites. That's observable laws of nature. Science. I'm not quoting this from a book. I can look the fuck around and see that shit. We're living in it right now.
Well,
right?
I'll give you a good example.
So when we say we're bastardized from creation, when we say that we're separated from God, and we know that sin is a trigonomic, we're talking science. Sin is a trigonomic term. It's the sine wave. In trigonometry, it represents what? Time. Why does time separate you from Creator? Because Creator created time. Creator is like right here with time. It's an essence of it, of her. So the moment we attach who we are to this shit, which is why we go around thinking that shit is wrong all the time, we want to fight, we want to be super passionate when we can just love each other. What the fuck? You know what I'm saying? But we don't want to move in that way because we don't understand the way life actually works.
I'm with you,
We're seeing
but
things on a whole new level, but I'm done.
everyone is not like that.
Yeah.
We see throughout all nature that what? Like you said, opposites. You got men running around thinking that two men can come together and make something that is, I guess like when two opposites come together, a man and a woman, which is impossible. You can say that in their heart and in their spirit, they feel that, but they won't until you bring them that physically, because they don't think like that spiritually. That's why when the Bible says, bring it to him in simple terms before you go spiritual. In fact, the Bible said, don't heal the dead, don't even bring people back, don't do miracles before you even read the Bible, because they don't comprehend that. Just like a child is a open, empty canvas, easily painted by anybody. The first masters of a child, even in the world, a lion, a little baby cub. If a lion cub runs around and joins the hyena, it's going to be like a hyena. That's why as children, you got to treat the children and train them to be like what? Us. So that's not something that they're going to get and feel spiritually. There's children, I'll give an example, Candace Owens. Candace Owens wants to be white. Kamala Harris wants to be white. Matter of fact, Kamala Harris has written for her ethnicity that she's white, but everyone's calling her black. Because she grew up around what? Indians. And Indians taught her that she needs to be white to get any social status. That's what a lot of minorities do here. That's something culture, that's against nature versus nurture. You ever heard that? And we got a lot of nurture that's against the Most High. If we was going by nature, like in the Bible, I'll give you a scripture right here that makes so much sense. It says the law is unto what? Sinners. Right? The law. Yeah, this is mainly, give me Deuteronomy 28 and 47. That's what we're talking about. We can sit here, we can't sit here, and we can't stand by, and if our people were in an uncontrolled environment, we're in a controlled environment by the higher ups, the higher ups, the top people who are deep into this understanding of wisdom to nurture you, like you said, to manipulate you and use you against yourself and groom you into doing something that which is against nature.
Reverse engineering and overstanding the science that they're using. It's ourselves. It's not found with the institutions that we designed. Institutions replace intuition. Intuition is found in its essence like a plant, like an animal that is here, and we're animals, we're animated. The idea is that without some sort of institution that we're going to be fucking murderers or raping our grandmothers. What if there was an essence in the truth that was good? They did look at all things and was like, yo, let me set aside all this bullshit, because you could be dogmatic about anything. I could be dogmatic about that science and be just like, don't die, they die. But I would say creator doesn't even create like that. See, things to the woods, see how many plants and mushrooms and all. That's why I say it's all found in nature. The unchangeable laws of nature. Man can go in and I can use so many words and manipulate and do all these things, but if I go and if I cut open my skin and I sit over time and I watch it, you know what happens? Magic. It heals itself. I can't do that. I have to observe that and then go see that out in the world. Oh shit. We can create it again. What's up, God? Peace, God. Man created us fire. So I live in a prayer. That's my prayer. It's my instant awareness of what's happening. You know, of what's happening. So I don't. I could be confused. I'm like, oh my God. But at the end of the day, I know that the way the Creator creates, when I come to the Word, when I sit with plants, the untouched teachers, they didn't come from a school of thought. Plants. So when I eat them, because they're getting, what is it? Bioluminescence from the sun, right? Solar luminescence from the sun, bioluminescence from the moon. They say nothing is new under the sun. You know why? Because the sun doesn't produce anything it only feeds light. The moon is what gives the darkness. That's why I say I'm glad to say I'm the darkness. I'm also very proud to say I'm the light. Because I embody both of those. So the answer to that question that I believe is this reverse engineering of getting back to the root of this magic manipulation that's been happening to us. It's the science itself. It's us being played against ourselves in these particular ways. And we can talk about things in the realm of time or sin, the construct of the happening. They say power equals change over time. That's a mathematical function in trigonometry. Power equals change over time. That's their magic to how they calculate. When you turn on the light switch, you're seeing God. Because electricity is synthesized. It comes from radiation, and magnetism coming together. And in between those two, just like sound, when you hear harmony and you hear that sweet spot, like, ooh, that's called a nodal point. That's where magic happens. So that center pillar that we desire to be in is in that nodal point. With these truths, when we're rightfully dividing these words, and we're getting to the essence of, okay, what was it? Well, let me hear you, King. Okay, all right. Let me sit with that for a bit and see how that relates back to the truth that I'm seeing.
Well, I'll put it like this. If I didn't know any of that science or any of that, anything dealing with elements or anything dealing with alchemy, I would be confused on everything you're saying. Right? That's what we're talking about. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Bringing it down to a simple compound where everyone can understand. It's against nature. How to use us against our nature? They bring us, make us kill each other. How do we stop that? Leviticus 19:17. Give me Leviticus 19:17. So if one of the enchantments that are used against us is to hate each other. They do it through the movies. They do it through music. Right? They use sound frequencies to hype you up. I've seen it. Use that sound frequency about them killing each other. The whole spirit change and they become a murderer. But the whole thing is, before we can get into those frequencies, they must understand what's wrong. And the Bible, that's what we use the Bible. The Bible goes in depth of what's wrong and what's right. Right? Bring it out.
The book of Leviticus chapter 19 verse 17. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
You gotta what?
Love thy neighbor as thyself.
So this is going into, you gotta love your neighbor as yourself, because you even admitted that if you go into the ocean and you put it in a bottle and you throw it somewhere else, it's still what? It's still the ocean. So I look at you and we both black. How can I kill myself? So you getting my point, but the simple thing is just love each other, because you gotta love you as myself. So another thing, you was talking about the plants. There's good plants and there's bad plants. There's poison ivy. You got, the Bible breaks down good and evil plants. It breaks down good and evil animals that you can't eat. Give me Leviticus 11:7. So that's like we can go so deep into the science, but we out here street teaching, we'll never get to the simple point. Some people I get some Muslims that love for me to break down the whole science of why pork and swine is bad for you, how it gives you high pressure, gout, how it affects the system, all the diseases. But some people might just like, oh, it's bad for me, God said it's bad, I'm not going to do it.
I guess what I brought up Star Wars. Every time I say it, you're like, what the fuck are you talking about Star Wars for? I'm talking about the level of magic we're dealing with in the opposition. They're willing to do so. They dealt with the dude in was a mythology. This man has traveled the world and studied the myths of all cultures. He found a thing called syncretism, which is the baseline of all these religions, which he summed it up as astrology. Their magic, which keeps us polarized, is to consult people like that who are using the basic sciences to create a movie like Star Wars that's all about their magic. It's all about the science. You see what I'm saying? But we can't have those conversations. We're working with other people all the time. We're working with old magic. We won't elevate our tactics. And I get it. I completely get it. This is better than sitting at home and watching the world heal a fire. That's why I'm like, yo, fucking respect. I've been on these streets. I'm like, bro, I got a video for something. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. That doesn't matter, but I agree with what you're saying. I can't break the science down. That's why I say it's sacred. That's why I say it's secret. If anything, I gotta become an artist or a master illusionist to be able to show what I'm saying. Because to me,
Let me get Cyrac 1919 right quick. Let me tell you something right now, brother. I've come across, because I'm from New York City. When I go to Manhattan, I come across a lot of people like you, right? And they're in the comedic, they're in the comedic world, they're in the Scientology world, but we said love thy neighbor as thyself. He isolated us as a nation, and he just went to everybody, human, You see, that's a problem with our people. When we try to isolate ourselves as a nucleus, as a strong nucleus, you always want to add in foreign entities, and that's the problem. That's why we don't have a strong structure. That's why we don't have a strong structure anymore. We always like the new Black Panther Party has white people in it, and I still don't understand that. The new Black Panther Party has white people in it, and I still don't understand that. So a lot of our people, we gotta really. I know that the enemy and other people they're trying new tactics and they're expanding their horizons. But our people's strength has to be coming back to the basics. Let me get Cyrac 1919 right quick.
The book of Sirach, chapter 19, verse 19. The knowledge of the commandments of the Lord is the doctrine of life.
Hold on, repeat that for the brother. I don't think he heard you.
The knowledge of the commandments of the Lord is the doctrine of life.
The knowledge of the commandments of the Lord is the doctrine of life, right? For all our people that are struggling to even stay alive in these current times, everybody's saying Black Lives Matter because they get treated like they don't matter, right? The doctrine of life is what we should be learning, right? Preserving life, right? Read on.
And they that do things that please him shall receive the fruit of the tree of immortality.
The tree of what?
The tree of immortality.
The tree of immortality, right? Read on.
Verse 20. The fear of the Lord is all wisdom, and in all wisdom is the performance of the law, in the knowledge of his omnipotency.
Right? Read verse 24 for me.
Verse 24. He that hath small understanding and fear of God is better than one that hath much wisdom and transgresseth the law of the Most High.
So you can have all the wisdom in the world, but that's the book of Sirach. That's Ecclesiasticus. That's Ecclesiasticus. Right? 1924. Right?
I hope y'all have as much fun.
Read that one more time for the brother, because I really want you to pay attention to this, right? Because sometimes our people could be so smart they're stupid, right? You could be a stumbling block to yourself, right? Read on.
The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 19, verse 24. He that hath small understanding and fear of God is better than one that hath much wisdom and transgresseth the law of the Most High.
So first you got to get the basics down pat, my brother. You got to get the laws of God down pat, which to us is the real G code, because those are the laws, statutes, commandments from God. Yeah, G code. God.
God. It's a God code.
Sounds like something y'all think about.
It's a God
I
code.
like it though.
It's a God code.
I love it.
It's, the law, statutes, commandments is a God code because it came from the Most High God, right? Because you say like you even said to yourself that God is a part of you, right? But to activate that part, He gave you a code. You understand? It's like how you have.
So
So you
I don't
gotta
know,
you
man.
gotta get that code in
I
you.
love your style.
Right.
I don't like this. You know what I mean? Like it reminds me of the church. Like you don't know. I'ma tell you. Like okay.
No, it's not. It's not. I
I
see.
got it. I mean,
I understand that the way I tackle the Bible, I tackle the Bible, I read it, I believe it, and then I hit it with science. You use science, and then you hit the science sometimes with the Bible.
you're just thinking. How long have we been saying this?
Well, I remember you saying, you was talking about nothing new under the sun. What's that?
What is that?
Give me what's that? Ecclesiastes 7:1-9. That's in the Bible. It's nothing. Yeah. See, so you was talking about the Songs of Solomon. Where you getting that from?
I said Bible. Something about two different scriptures. I get it. You know what I mean? Like it's good. I'm
Right.
understanding what you
We'll go back to Sirach 41 at verse 15. All right, bring it up.
Brother, you ain't learned nothing all day you been here. You ain't learned nothing. We ain't learned nothing. It's just like the hamster wheel right now. You know what I'm saying?
You're in 5 points. The vortex.
Yeah, you lost me. Lost all of us in the vortex through the solar plex behind the solar eclipse of the moon and the stars, and then it was a lunar eclipse. And then the oxygen turned to the molecules of the vegetables in the earth. That's the way you sound, huh? You know what I'm saying? That's the way you sound, bro.
That's my staff. I just threw on the ground. We didn't want to see what's going on. I got talking to the wall.
Look, that's why we say keep it. You got look. Everybody's not ready for that level. You walk to somebody in the street, they're gonna be like, it sounded. I wish I could understand what he said. Well, look, give me that. Bring this up.
The book of Sirach, chapter 41, verse 15. A man that hideth his foolishness is better than a man that hideth his wisdom.
Right? It's better. A man. It's better that a man that hide his foolishness than a man that hide his wisdom. Sometimes wisdom is so high over people that what? They won't ever catch it. So sometimes the Bible is just a baseline understanding. When the Bible told Ezra to write everything I told you, make it plain on the tables. It's simple. Everybody is not going to know the Pythagorean theorem. Damn it! Everybody is not going to know the compounds that are in protons, neutrons, and electrons. They're not going to know that. So the Lord was a nice being because the Most High is all-knowing. He was like, look, they're not going to know all this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it simple for them. That's what he did. Hey, you got questions, sister? Or are we in your way? Are you listening? You know who you are, sister. Get that brother a fly, man. We appreciate you coming out here, man. So, sister, do you know why we out here? We out here to let